Welcome to doing things because I have art block. I wrote down some things that I would like to try and do, and I'm going to roll this dice, and whatever it lands on, I'm going to do. Sometimes with art block, like, you should just take a break and not do anything, but I don't like to do that because I like to draw almost every day and stuff like that. 2, okay. Card paintings. I've seen a few of them around like Instagram and Pinterest and stuff like that. But basically what you do is you take a card, you take like a playing card and then you paint over it with something on it. I've seen like people paint Pokemon cards on them. I've seen people paint characters. I've seen people just like paint like a whole deck and have like a theme with them. I normally just paint like my characters on them, so I'm gonna do that. Yeah, you can see that. Normally I'd use a reference, but I don't currently have a reference photo for like the anatomy, so I'm just gonna go off of what I just think of in the time. A little backstory, I used to draw like a whole bunch of my own characters from like TV shows and stuff, and this character is a set of like Powerpuff Girls, and I was like really mad that they didn't have a boy Powerpuff Girl. So I drew 2 girls with a boy brother, and like had a whole backstory where like the characters were like they hated each other. They were like siblings bickering all the time, and then they found out they had superpowers that their dad didn't like tell them about. So they were like, oh, well, at least we have that in common. And I had one of the characters be like a total brat, and then Mono was like always like the one getting in trouble for everything, so she just kind of lived up to her like bad girl name. No matter like what the others did, they blamed Mono for. Mono's like an extremely skinny character, and I had like a reason for that. Like, it was her powers that made her skinny, because it used like her calories that she would take in. Her powers would turn slowly into, head is very big for the body proportions. Her character would use like her body fat to create like stools for her to spray paint things with. So like if she wanted like on a high up building, she would have to use her body fat to build a stool that would slowly elevate her to how high she wanted. She was basically like the villain of the story, so that she couldn't like be good. Like, she was never given a chance to be good, so she just never was good. But I think now she went through a lot of name changes as well. Like, I I think her name was like Twist at some point. I don't know. But, she also was like a really girly girl person, like, when I first drew her. She had like skirts and stuff like that, and honestly, if I think about it, like, I would definitely have not given her a skirt, because she was supposed to be a tomboy, but she was wearing a skirt, which is kind of like weird for tomboys to do. But yeah, so she's not a tomboy anymore. She's just like punk, if that makes sense. I don't know. Her fashion style is just kind of like brave clothes and weird outfits and stuff like that. More like outfits that I wanted to wear in like 7th grade when I was like really edgy. My tongue's not like completely normal from getting my wisdom teeth out yet, so I have like a slight lisp. If that's bothering anyone, I'm sorry. I love platform shoes. I always wanted to get them, and I still do. I want to get these ones with butterflies on them. If I can find them, I'll show you guys. But like, they're really cute, and I think they look really good on me. But I don't leave the house anyway, so. I really like have nowhere to wear them. This character's like more into like hang out with her brother than hang out with her sister, because her brother like likes to be a boy, like destroy things and stuff like that. And her sister's like a goody two shoes, straight A's, like kind of like Blossom from the Powerpuff Girls. And her brother's more like Buttercup from Powerpuff Girls. This character is nothing like Bubbles. It's just she's just like her own character. But like, I think I named her brother like Ryder or something like that, or maybe even like Chad. But her brother basically is just go with the flow type of dude, and her sister's like goody two shoes, and she's just kind of like, I'm gonna show you the half of my head. She's got good grades, but like, she's not like the popular girl. She's more of the I did it so I can get a degree, not I'm doing this to be popular and to keep my grades up and be cheerleader and all that. I had like a idea where she like ended up wanting to be a cheerleader like her sister. But then all the other cheerleaders were like, oh, no. think that's proportionate. Yeah. So, backgrounds are like really fun to draw, but like they're also like really tedious because you gotta get like, you have to plan it out, and then you also kind of have to think like what's going on here, and above and below the character. So like, I don't know, it's a little harder to do than just leaving a character floating on the page like these ones. Where... I think I left my fine liners in my bedroom. And I don't feel like going to grab them. So we're just going to use these ones. These ones are like work pens that I have, where I just do homework with them. And I think I'll use this one to outline. Sometimes changing colors for outlines helps like people focus on other parts of the drawing. So using like this red instead of like a harsh black line, using the red would add a focus to like the background also. Although she is monochrome, so I probably should have used black because like her whole outfit's supposed to be just black and white. She's supposed to be like extremely pale vampire looking, but maybe red would work with that then. If I do like a sunset look, like she's spray painting at like dusk, maybe that would look cool. Yeah, go with that. I used to draw all of my characters like the same body type, same like outfits. Like all of my characters used to wear hoodies and have tennis shoes. And I never drew feet like out of shoes. They all had like this build to them, like a straight line and then down was their body type. And I'm starting to branch out from that and like give my characters different body types. Like this one's skinny, and then I have like a chubbier one. And I think it's mostly basically like the way you get raised. Like in like my drawing classes, you were never told like, oh, you should have different body types of your characters and stuff like that. Like for art class, my art teacher was just like, draw your mom, draw your dad. And like, that's good, but like you need to give them like more variety. Because if I just grew up knowing only what I knew in first grade about what type of people are out there, all of my characters would honestly be white Americans with a medium build. So knowing that there's like other people out there with like missing arms and like people who are in wheelchairs and stuff like that helps, because I can give my characters more variety and people can relate to them more. So I think like at younger ages, showing like acceptance for like stuff like that, like people with disabilities and stuff like that, instead of just like saying, oh, that person has a disability. Like showing it more in like TV shows and stuff like that would be really cool. And like that's one thing I like about some of the TV shows nowadays, is that characters are in wheelchairs and like characters are like hanging out with other people instead of just like themselves. So like a kids show from whenever I was in like 7th grade was called like Clarence, I think it was. And it was basically just like this boy was running around town wreaking havoc everywhere, but like in a childish way, not like a monstrous way. And he had one kid, I think his name was like Sage or like Simon. I don't know. But he that kid was like super scrawny and like honestly was like one of my favorite characters because he would just get into trouble for like opening his mouth. And I think that was like really cool to have a character like that in a TV show, because kids shows like always depict like, oh, the kid's being good and well behaved, like for example Dora the Explorer. But like having a kid who's off the wall everywhere is like a good thing to show other kids, because you can still be friends with kids like that and they're not gonna like affect you the way that people think it would. And honestly, you might affect them to be good. And that's what I want to do with this character, is I want her to basically be that character that I saw on that TV show, is to have that character dynamic, but as this character. Of course, it's like a more teenage version of that character, and not like a kid just running around wreaking havoc. She's like spray painting walls and staying out after curfew and stuff like that. I honestly don't know if that ends backwards. Yeah, it's backwards. Oh well. We'll just make that part of our signature. Making the end backwards. And then you want to give it like a few minutes to dry, especially if you're using like a pen with ink and stuff. Mainly because when you erase the pencil drawing, you're going to smear the ink because it's not completely dry. And I think I'll use my cow eraser for this. With ink drawings, sometimes they'll smear and sometimes they won't. It's just, it all depends on like the type of marker you use and whether it's a drawing marker or if it's just like a plain pen. Like ballpoint pen smears so bad. I've ruined a couple of drawings that I've really liked when I was younger because of like erasing the pencil lines would smear the ballpoint pen because I didn't wait long enough for the pen to sink into the paper and just dry up. Sometimes even markers do that, like Crayola markers and markers that like have a small, have like high pigment, but like small amount of like liquid part to it. So like Crayola, I don't know if it's like with the newer markers or anything like that, but like I used to smear my markers so much whenever I would use those. There's a fly in my studio. I don't even know how a fly got in my studio. Like, I never open the windows in the studio. I always go outside to like paint. Like, I could see if it was in my like house part of my studio, but like I rarely have anything open in here for a fly to get in. I don't know if I want to color it. I don't feel like coloring it. Cause she's just like mainly just grays and stuff. Maybe I'll just use this gray marker. If you're using markers with like thin paper, you should always put like paper underneath so that it doesn't like smear onto the next page. I'll just add shadows. I had a girl come up to me in high school and ask how I did my shadow work. And I told her just like to mess around with it for a while and then you would like figure it out, or you can watch like YouTube videos to figure it out. Mostly because like I had to leave, like the buses were leaving and she's like stopped me in the hallways to ask me that. But then like I showed her one of my characters to like show her my shadow drawings and she was just like, oh, that's so cool. And then the next day she comes in and she drew my character and renamed it a different name, and she goes, I used your advice and I drew the shadows with this character I came up with. And I was like, that's my character. And she was like, no, it's different, see? And she pointed to the ears of the character. And they were only like, they were pointed instead of rounded, like that. She had them pointed and she was like, it's a vampire. And I was like, oh, okay. And like, she was in like 8th grade. And in my high school, like, it was 7th through 12th. So I was in 12th grade and she was in 8th grade and we had like the same lunch. And she was like, yeah, like it's my character. And I was like, oh, okay. And then she went around telling people she was going to fight me about it because I stole her character. And I was like, what? I don't know. 8th graders are weird. I feel like 8th graders in any age, like I was a weird 8th grader, so I feel like any 8th grader is just a strange 8th grader. Ah, the fly's like swarming my head. I hate that. I hate bugs when they come like around your face. Because they creep me out. I think I should, yeah, add like a, I don't know how well this is gonna look, because I'm just freehanding the shadow. There we go. Now if I use this end and color in the shadow, I'm really hoping this doesn't smear the ink. I always mess up with the shadow and add like the skirt line somewhere or like the pants line, which really bugs me because like it's not supposed to be there. So I'm just gonna try and smear it out. And then I'm gonna add yellow for like the light source. Does this yellow work? No. We'll add this yellow. Have this on the window. So like she was spray painting the window of like an office building. I think like there's different shading for different like types of objects. So like glass kind of like fragments light, and then the light just kind of like fades on like cement buildings and stuff like that. And then I'm going to sign it. Alright, so I thought it'd be fitting to draw Mono on the card because I drew her in my sketchbook. I actually colored it and I kind of like it because I had like the spray paint dust and then I have like spray paint coming off of her and stuff like that. But her color scheme is just monochrome, black and white. Her tongue's red, because it's red. But I thought I would pause the time lapse so that you guys can see the tape peel, because apparently you guys like that. Cool. You can see like where the card was. Alright, I'm gonna Mod Podge it and then I'll be done with this one.